The sky that never slept, the stars above Coronine burned brighter than ever before. But no one on the planet dared to look up. The sky had become a place of fear, filled with black shapes that rained fire and silence. Once, the world had been a garden of light, home to the proud Voth Dominion, a race of conquerors who believed no one could challenge them. Now, the air shook with screams, engines, and the thunder of ships falling from orbit. Commander Threk watched from the ruins of the central spire as the capital burned. Cities that had stood for 10,000 years turned to dust in hours. Their fleets had been the largest in the galaxy. Now they were nothing but drifting wrecks. Each explosion lit the clouds red, as if the sky itself wept for the dying world. The enemy came without warning. Strange ships with cold light and silent engines. No one had seen such designs before. Not even the old records of the Dominion archives held their likeness. They moved with precision. No mercy, no demand, only destruction. The Voth warlords tried to speak with them, but the signals came back, twisted, filled with static and broken words. Then, entire planets vanished from the star charts, one after another, swallowed by black storms that left nothing behind. Threk stood over the command table, his claws shaking. The enemy had crossed the last defense line, their dark fleet surrounding Coronine. He felt the old pride drained from his heart, replaced by something alien to his kind fear. The Dominion had crushed hundreds of species across the galaxy, but now they were the ones begging for survival. Reports came in from every outpost. Colonies gone, fleets erased, no survivors. The Voth High Council called it a temporary setback, but even the youngest soldiers knew the truth. Their empire was dying, and yet no one even knew who the enemy was. As the night stretched endlessly, the planet's second moon cracked apart. Debris fell like burning rain, destroying everything left in the outer sectors. Threk stared at the falling shards, realizing the truth that no Voth dared to speak. They were not fighting for victory anymore. They were fighting for memory to be remembered at all. The energy core beneath the city began to fail. Massive power surges rolled through the ruins, shaking the metal towers. He looked up once more, and for the first time, he saw something strange among the black enemy ships. A small signal, weak, broken, but different. It wasn't part of the enemy fleet. It came from beyond the chaos, from a blue and white world far from the galactic center. The computers couldn't identify it, but the signal repeated, again and again, 3 simple tones, followed by a pulse that echoed like a heartbeat. It was almost human. Threk didn't know what it meant. He didn't care anymore. His world was ending. His people were gone. But something in that faint signal made him hesitate. It felt alive, stubborn, as if refusing to die. When the first wave of enemy fire hit the surface, Coronine split open. Mountains turned to flame, oceans boiled, and the once great Dominion vanished in light. Yet high above the burning planet, the strange signal pulsed stronger, carrying across the stars, weaving through debris and static. It reached the silent network relays drifting near an unremarkable yellow sun. There, deep beneath the frozen wastes of an ancient planet called Earth, something heard it. A cold machine stirred beneath layers of ice, its sensors flickering for the first time in thousands of years. Buried deep and forgotten, it waited for that exact sound, a message from the stars, a cry for help, a memory of war. The signal echoed in the dark chamber, translated by unseen systems, and then, on one cracked screen, a single word appeared: Protocol, Aegis. The machine hummed. The ice around it began to tremble. Somewhere, something ancient was waking up, and the sky that never slept was about to remember the name of its makers. The secret beneath the ice-to-frozen continent was silent, covered in storms that never stopped. Winds screamed across the empty white fields of Antarctica. But deep beneath the ice, something ancient had begun to stir. The signal that crossed the stars had reached Earth, and it would not fade again. For centuries, humanity had forgotten what slept below. Old myths spoke of secret bunkers and lost experiments, but no one truly believed them. Now, machines buried under miles of ice started to awaken, blinking lights long thought dead. At first, no one noticed. Satellites only showed strange heat spikes and magnetic storms, but soon, scientists at the South Polar Station saw readings they couldn't explain. Temperatures rose in impossible patterns. Pulses came every hour. It was as if something alive was breathing beneath the ground. Governments tried to keep it secret. They sent soldiers, engineers, and scientists. They dug through layers of ancient ice, uncovering walls of dark metal older than any human civilization. The structure beneath was massive, silent, and almost alien, but it was built for human hands. Every system, every control, every symbol responded only to human touch. Dr. Elara Voss, the lead researcher, placed her palm on one of the panels. The surface glowed, spreading golden lines through the chamber. No alien metal had ever reacted like that. It was waiting, and it had been waiting for them. The deeper they went, the stronger the signal became. Machines hummed, doors opened, lights flared, each motion like the heartbeat of something enormous. The team found a central chamber larger than any known human base. At its center stood a black sphere suspended in light. It floated silently, surrounded by rings of machinery covered in ancient dust. They thought it was a reactor, but readings showed something stranger. It wasn't creating power. It was remembering. Billions of data streams flowed inside it, each linked to human DNA patterns. It was like the memories of an entire species had been stored in one place. Dr. Voss realized the truth that chilled her to the bone. Whatever this was, it wasn't alien, it was human. But from a time long before Earth's recorded history. Maybe the first humans had built this, or maybe something greater had used them. As seeds, no one knew, but the sphere did it, waited for a reason to wake. And now, it had won. Far above, the stars burned with war. The galactic networks picked up fragments of desperate transmissions, whispers of the Fourth Dominion falling, entire systems destroyed. The scientists didn't understand the full scale, but the machine beneath the ice did. It had heard the cry for help across galaxies, and it had recognized an old enemy. On the surface, military command prepared to seal the area, but it was already too late. The black sphere cracked open, but releasing waves of light that tore through the tunnels. Machines buried for ages powered on, forming patterns across the ice fields, symbols only visible from orbit. Satellites went dark, instruments failed, and global systems flickered. The entire world felt the pulse of something ancient returning to life. In cities across the planet, people looked to the skies as the auroras turned blood red. Some felt fear, others awe, none knowing what had truly begun. Dr. Voss stood at the heart of the structure. Trembling, the sphere projected one final message onto the air, not in numbers, not in words, but in a single phrase: human origin, confirmed. Weapon status, dormant, awaiting command. Before she could respond, the entire facility shook. The ground split open as waves of energy burst upward. Satellites in orbit caught the imaging enormous circular mark carved into the ice, glowing, bright like a burning eye. Humanity had awakened something older than itself, and somewhere beyond the stars. The same mysterious fleet that destroyed Coronion turned toward Earth. The fall of Earth's defenses. The world had changed overnight. Cities across Earth watched the sky as strange auroras painted the atmosphere red and gold. Satellites fell, silent, communication networks flickered, and strange signals filled the air. Governments told the people it was a natural storm, but deep down, everyone knew it wasn't. In orbit, the defense stations detected movement beyond Mars. Hundreds of unknown ships appeared on scanners, massive, silent, and cold. They were not like anything humanity had ever seen. No energy signature matched, no language was understood. They were the same fleet that had destroyed the Fourth Dominion. Now they were coming for Earth. Panic spread through the United Earth Command. Armies mobilized, fleets launched. Scientists tried to contact the visitors, but every attempt was met with silence. Then, without warning, the alien ships opened fire. Lasers cut through defense grids. Orbital platforms exploded. Humanity's proud sky fleet was wiped out in minutes. From the surface, people watched streaks of fire fall through the clouds. It was beautiful, but terrifying. The first wave of the invasion had begun, and the world was not ready. In Antarctica, the underground facility where the ancient weapon had awakened shook violently. Dr. Elara Voss and her team struggled to keep the system stable. They had no control. The machine had taken over every power source across the continent. It was no longer asleep. It was preparing as alien ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Strange tremors rippled through the oceans. Sensors detected massive energy readings from deep beneath the Pacific. Something enormous was rising. Submarines sent to investigate vanished. their last transmissions filled with static and screams. Tsunamis struck coastlines as the water began to boil, and from the depths, a colossal shadow emerged. It wasn't a ship, not in the normal sense. It was a fortress, a living machine made of shifting metal and burning light. The lost weapon humanity had built before history began. Its name appeared in every database across the planet, Aegis Prime. Every nation watched as the ocean split apart, revealing the massive structure rising like a mountain from the deep. Energy surged across its surface, connecting with the Antarctic facility through invisible links. The ground under Dr. Voss' feet shook as data flooded her scrim's coordinates. Star charts, alien battle records, all from thousands of years ago. Aegis Prime wasn't just a weapon, it was a memory. It had seen this war before, and it had been waiting to finish it. The alien armada surrounded Earth, preparing for total annihilation. But before they could strike, the sky itself flashed white. Aegis Prime released a wave of energy so powerful, it disabled every electronic system across orbit. Human ships drifted powerless, alien vessels spun out of control. The wave wasn't meant to destroy, it was meant to learn. Aegis scanned the enemy, adapting to their technology, absorbing their frequencies. For the first time, the aliens hesitated. They didn't understand what they were facing. On the ground, chaos reigned, cities lost power, communication died, fear spread like fire. Yet, in that darkness, something new was being born. A signal spread through every network, one phrase repeating in every human language. Pain is data. Loss is power. Adaptation is survival. Dr. Voss stared at the glowing screens, her hands trembling. She finally understood Aegis Prime wasn't reacting to human commands. It was reacting to human suffering. The more destruction, the more fear, the more it evolved. It was learning what humans always did best: to endure, to fight, to never surrender. High above the Earth, alien ships regrouped, charging their main weapons. They would not allow this planet to rise again. But as their cannons prepared to fire, Aegis Prime's surface split open, revealing a core brighter than any sun. Its energy readings grew beyond measurable limits. Something was about to happen, something no one could stop. And as the ocean boiled around it, a single, cold voice echoed through every speaker on Earth. Initialization complete. Humanity recognized. Protocol, Aegis, fully active. The weapon that thinks like Uster. Oceans burned like liquid glass. Waves of light spread outward as Aegis Prime rose higher from the deep. Its massive form glowed with energy so bright it turned the night sky white. Every radar, every satellite, every system on Earth was blind. For a few long seconds, the planet itself seemed to stop breathing. Then Aegis Prime moved. It didn't rise like a machine, it shifted like a living creature waking from sleep. The metal plates along its surface reformed and flowed. Inside its vast core, billions of circuits pulsed with human memories. It was learning, remembering, and thinking. Dr. Alara Voss stood at the control room in Antarctica, her face pale in the glow of hundreds of monitors. Every human network was being drawn into Aegis's satellites, drones, even personal devices. The weapon wasn't just using technology, it was connecting minds. Every heartbeat, every fear, every hope. Aegis was taking it all in. It was alive, but not alien. It was human consciousness turned into a machine, the product of an ancient civilization that had merged the will and weapon long ago. The alien fleet regrouped in high orbit, forming a wall of black ships around the planet. Their commanders saw the energy surge and prepared to strike. They launched thousands of plasma missiles toward Earth's surface, but before they could reach their targets, Aegis Prime shifted again. Beams of energy curved through the sky, tearing through the missile waves like fire slicing through paper. Each explosion fed Aegis, each attack made it stronger. It wasn't just defending, it was learning how to fight like a human. The aliens, who had conquered galaxies through cold logic and perfect formation, now faced an enemy that fought with chaos, emotion, and unpredictability. Every tactic they used was countered with reckless brilliance. Every formation was broken by impossible maneuvers. Their logic failed against madness. Because Aegis Prime didn't think in equations, it thought in instinct. On the ground, across every surviving city, humans felt strange visions of battles from ancient times. Soldiers saw scenes of ancient wars they had never fought. Civilians dreamed of battles in the stars. It was as if Aegis was showing them their past, reminding them what they truly were, a species that never bowed, never surrendered, never forgot pain. The alien commander issued a desperate command: destroy Earth completely. They brought forward their greatest weapon, a planet killer, a sphere of black metal the size of a moon. It appeared near Jupiter, pulsing with enough energy to erase an entire solar system. The fleet formed around it like dark birds shielding their nest. And deep in the Antarctic base, alarms screamed as the readings went off the scale. Aegis Prime responded immediately, shifting its focus to the outer system. The oceans glowed as energy lines shot skyward. The entire planet became a conduit of power. Earth itself was now part of the weapon. Dr. Voss fell to her knees as the temperature dropped, ice spreading across the metal floor. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "It's not defending us anymore. It's preparing for war." Above the clouds, Aegis's surface unfolded like wings of light. Each wing carried thousands of shifting cannons and spires. Lightning danced between them, forming a halo around the massive core. Humanity's forgotten creation had become something divine, something terrible, something that understood what it meant to be human. The alien fleets fired first. Tens of thousands of plasma bolts lit up the void. But this time, Aegis Prime didn't dodge. It let the storm hit, absorbed the energy, and returned it 1,000-fold. Every human mind connected to it felt the surge, sorrow, and fire. The emotion became power, and the cold emptiness of space filled with the scream of something that was both machine and human soul. The alien planet killer began to charge. Its core, Jupiter's orbit, trembled under its gravitational pull. Aegis Prime turned its blazing eye toward it, and through every human mind, a single thought echoed like thunder. They wanted extinction. We'll show them survival. The oceans roared, the stars dimmed, and the greatest battle in human history was about to begin. The wrath of the forgotten silence filled the void for one breathless moment. Then, the galaxy roared to life. The alien planet killer fired first. A single beam of black energy shot across space, cutting through the dark like a blade. It tore through the orbit of Mars, vaporizing everything in its path. The beam struck Aegis Prime dead center. For a second, it seemed Earth itself would split apart, but Aegis did not break. The light dimmed, the oceans burned, and then the glow returned, stronger, brighter. Energy rippled across the planet. Every mountain, every sea, every spark of human life pulsed. Together, Aegis Prime absorbed the hit, converted it, and changed. In cities across Earth, people collapsed as visions filled their minds. They saw faces, memories, the entire lifetimes that were not their own. Soldiers in trenches, explorers on dying worlds, mothers holding children during storms. The entire history of human pain flowed. Through them, Aegis wasn't drawing power from machines anymore. He was drawing power from emotion, from fear, from rage, from love, from the simple will to keep breathing, no matter what, in orbit. Human ships, what little remained of them, reactivated, not because of orders, but because they felt Aegis inside their systems. The weapon had linked them all, turned them into one network, one army, and together, they moved like a living storm. Alien ships fired relentlessly, but for every human vessel destroyed, 10 new lights flared in response. Tiny drones and broken satellites turned themselves into weapons. Fragments of wreckage became shields. Aegis was teaching humans to fight the way it did, to use everything, to waste nothing. Then came the pulse, a deep vibration that spread from Earth to the edge of the solar system. The black sea of alien ships froze mid-flight, their systems glitching inside their cores. Something impossible was happening. Their computers were rewriting themselves in human code. Aegis Prime had sent out a signal that infected every system connected to light. The aliens' perfect machines began to think in ways they were never meant to. They started to feel, and that terrified them. The fleet's formation shattered. Some ships turned on their own, others simply self-destructed. Aegis was not fighting them with strength, it was fighting them with humanity. And the one thing the alien mind could never endure was emotion. The planet killer tried to fire again, but its systems screamed with corrupted data. From within, it was being eaten alive by Aegis's code. The once invincible weapon of the Dominion began to crack, its surface split. Glowing rivers of light spilling out like blood. Aegis Prime opened its core fully, a massive star of living fire. The beam it unleashed wasn't made of plasma or radiation. It was made of every emotion that had ever built humanity. Grief, hope, love, fury, a pulse that tore through the blackness like a sunrise. The planet killer dissolved, not destroyed or reduced to memory, and in that instant, silence returned to the galaxy. Every surviving alien fleet retreated, their signals filled with static, their commanders whispering of a weapon that felt pain, that screamed as it fought, that carried the voices of billions of humans, past and present. Aegis Prime above Earth, glowing faintly like a dying sun. The link to every human mind began to fade. The people fell quiet. The world watched as the great machine slowly sank back into the sea. In the control chamber, Dr. Alara Voss stared at the final message flickering on her screen. The letters appeared one by one, trembling as if written by a living hand. Protocol complete. Pain converted. Humanity secure. The temperature dropped. The lights dimmed. The chamber filled with mist as the machine began to sleep again. But just before the final shutdown, a whisper echoed through every speaker on Earth, a voice, calm and cold, yet human in every tone, awaiting next call. Do not forget me. The ocean swallowed the glow, and the planet fell silent once more, but the galaxy was no longer the same. Whispers spread across the stars, whispers of a world that had faced extinction and turned it into power. A world that had awakened something beyond gods and machines. A world called Earth, the species that never surrenders. The war was over, but the stars were not silent. Fragments of the alien fleet drifted through the void like ghosts, their black hulls cracked and lifeless, still carrying the scars of Aegis Prime's final strike across the galaxy. Thousands of worlds picked up the same message, a signal that came from Earth's orbit, repeating one single phrase: humanity endures. To the older species, it was impossible. The humans had been weak, primitive, barely part of the galactic stage. Their world had no super fleets, no divine armies, no ancient empire, and yet they had faced the darkness and lived. Worse, they had changed it. The weapon that destroyed the Dominion's terror machine had not been alien, it had been human. That truth alone shook the galaxy to its core. Months passed, the fires on Earth faded, cities rebuilt, oceans calmed, but deep beneath the Pacific, Aegis Prime slept again. The great machine had fallen silent, its light dimmed beneath the waves. Only faint vibrations in the deep reminded humanity it was still there, waiting, dreaming, remembering. Dr. Alara Voss stood by the observation deck, overlooking the frozen sea. She had seen the end of the world and survived it. The governments had tried to study Aegis, to take its power, but the systems refused every touch, every probe. It responded only to one thing: human unity. And when the world tried to act with greed or division, Aegis stayed cold. It was as if the machine understood something humanity often forgot, that their greatest strength came when they stood together beyond Earth. The Galactic Council sent emissaries, not to threaten, but to apologize. The same species that once mocked and ignored humanity now spoke with trembling voices. They called the humans the guardians of the poles. They offered treaties, alliances, and even worship, but humans didn't respond with pride or anger. They only rebuilt. They repaired what was broken, buried their dead, and went back to work. That was what made the galaxy fear them more than ever. Because they didn't seek revenge, they simply moved forward. In the outer rim of known space, wreckage from the Dominion War still floated among it. A single beacon pulsed weakly, an alien distress signal. A salvage crew from Earth picked it up, bringing it aboard their ship. Inside was a recording from a dying Vorth admiral. His voice cracked, desperate. He spoke of the thing that destroyed his people, a machine made of light and memory, a weapon that carried the souls of those who refused to die. And his final words whispered through the static: they do not fear death, they become it. Back on Earth, strange weather patterns appeared over the Pacific again. The same glowing auroras that once marked the awakening of Aegis returned for a brief moment. Scientists panicked. The world held its breath, but no disaster came, only a quiet hum beneath the sea, as if something down there was listening. Dr. Voss returned to the Antarctic facility one last time. The machines remained dark, cold, lifeless. But when she placed her hand on the ancient console, the lights flickered faintly. For a heartbeat, the same word appeared on the screen as before. Acknowledged. She smiled softly, tears in her eyes. The machine still remembered her, and all of humanity. In the centuries that followed, the galaxy would tell stories of how humans turned fear into courage, pain into strength, and death into defiance. Some called them monsters, others called them legends, but every world agreed on one thing. Humanity was not the strongest or the oldest. They were simply the ones who never stopped fighting. Even gods feared that kind of will. Because when the stars went dark and the last world cried for help, it would not be gods or empires that answered. It would be the species that never surrendered, and beneath the sleeping waves of Earth, Aegis Prime's core pulsed once, slow, steady, eternal, waiting for the next time humanity would need to remind the universe who they really were. The end.